Det lyder nu smukt.
Hold da kæft. Skide fuller på rulleskøjter.
Hvor herre bevarer sig så på en søndag.
Ja, den er god nok. Ja, det er på rette vej. UMAI.
Det er politiet. Politiet? Hvor? Der bagved i vognen.
Hold op, det kan da ikke passe.
Der er ingen tvivl.
Jeg har sgu da aldrig hørt politiet synge.
Det var Jensen. Jeg så ham selv. Hvad gør vi? Vi må sætte dem af. Hurtigst muligt. Stands det henne ved sporskiftet.
Det er godt, Egon. Så sætter vi en bare ind på et vildspor.
Kjeld, du skifter. Ja, det skal jeg nok.
I'm just gonna bring up the Kimetsu no Yaiba Mal page.
Let me look up the spark notes for Kimetsu no Yaiba so I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Get the spark notes for the book report.
I need to know who the main character's name is. I think it's Kimetsu, or is it Kimetsu or Yaiba? I can never remember.
I think it's Sugimoto.
It's his son, Bimetsu.
Banjiro. Choo choo! All aboard, everyone, and welcome to the R Anime Podcast episode on Demon Slayer Infinite Train, or Kimetsu no Yaiba Mugen Train, the amazing phenomenon that's been sweeping both Japan and internationally. Now the best-selling, highest-grossing movie of all time in Japan, and one of the highest-grossing movies in the box office in the US in the year of 2021. What an insane phenomenon it's been. We are so excited to have you guys around. My name's Fateseal Taylor, and we've got a banger of a podcast for you guys today. Joining me on this train ride to Kimetsu no Yaiba Hell is Shaw King 807. How's it going?
How you doing? We're rolling out on the hype train.
We are rolling out on the hype train. I forgot what number you are because it turns out I've forgotten how to count. So
we're already so many memes deep on this.
You gotta love bringing the joke from before we started recording into the actual podcast so that nobody listening will understand it.
It's like trying to skip the Kimetsu no Yaiba TV show just to get to Infinite Train. And we've also got with us the amazing, the one and only Sinwis, or Sinris, as most people actually call him. How you doing, fam?
Good. Guys, I want to watch the Infinite Train arc, but I don't know, do I have to see anything before it? Is there a finite train?
There's a limited train that you actually have to watch, but it was only out for a limited time. And then we also have Maz, who is, I guess, riding high after the Kansas City Royals have just been demolishing the Pirates, kind of like how Demons kind of demolished the Demon Slayer course, or at least the rookies anyway.
Yes, Tay defeated me in Anime Jeopardy, so I got my revenge by having the Royals beat the ever-living shit out of the Pirates.
Nothing like real life beating online life.
We were up 4-1 in a game, and then we lost, and we gave up a grand slam. Like, what the fuck, man?
Royals won the trade. Also, I'm talking like this because I haven't been sleeping well lately, so I'm really tired, and I haven't slept in a while. It's not a joke about that, but this has nothing to do with Yaiba. This doesn't reflect my feelings about Yaiba.
No, I thought it was because that's like part of the plot of the movie.
Yeah,
I was like, he's doing it. He's making the reference to the movie, and he's like, no, I
didn't
just
make
have
that
not
connection.
slept.
That's really funny.
You did it in your subconscious, but you're like, no, I just not slept.
I didn't make the connection either, which is especially funny because this movie actually did put me to sleep.
Hey, wow! Dab, dab, dab.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting because when the first season of the show came out, I was way higher on it than the rest of you. And now the movie came out, and I'm pretty sure I'm way lower on it than the rest of you.
I was getting so ready to be like, but this is your series. This is yours. This is your thing. But now it looks like I have to be a Kimetsu no defender. But we'll see. We'll find out.
You never thought you'd see the day.
You never thought it. I know we're all
thunk?
missing our connection, but we do have to get on this train ride. So I just wanted to, before we have too many punched tickets, why don't we get started on what you guys expectations were coming into this film. What did you thought about the TV show, and what did you think about the movie? Like, what did you expect would be about the movie coming into it?
I was about to say, like, we should probably generalize our thoughts about the TV series, and I probably have the most milquetoast, uninteresting, boring opinion of the show, which is that it's pretty good.
Wait, I might outboring you, but go ahead. The challenge is the gauntlet is thrown down.
but Shaw, I have
more boring take on Kimetsu no Yaiba. Go,
Peak
go!
podcasting
This
content,
is the
guys.
content people have been asking for.
I have the monotonous voice right now, so I think I have the advantage. But I think it's an average series that's mainly just elevated by really good production. Like, it looks really good. I do really appreciate what UFO Table has done. And I'm not even a UFO Table
UFO Table!
fanboy. It's UFO Table.
It's UFO! It's a UFO! In the table!
No. UFO.
They do officially pronounce it UFO Table, but they are wrong to do so.
Yes.
So it is UFO Table.
They have said that it's UFO Table. They have been
I
explicitly
understand the name, but
that it's UFO Table.
Oh, I didn't realize they were a good studio.
Whatever.
Yeah.
I'm speed running the pronunciation by calling it UFO Table.
That's me.
Any percentage.
But anyway, I'm not a UFO Table fanboy. In fact, I've been kind of like I was on like an anti-UFO Table hate train for a little bit because people would always be like, "Oh, unlimited budget works," but seeing some of their anime, like the Tales of Hysteria anime, I'm just like,
God Eater.
No, God Eater was really weird. Yeah, but then when Yaiba came out, it's like, oh, this is actually pretty good. I like this. And Yuki Kaijura's soundtrack is amazing, fantastic. And so, yeah, it's just a decent series overall to me. It's fun to watch because of how cool it looks and sounds. And I was just expecting more of that with the movie. I didn't expect them to do anything big with the story. I know it's just a continuation of the manga, so I assumed it wasn't going to do anything all that different. It was just going to be more Yaiba, basically. And yeah.
All right, Shaw, you said you had a more boring take. Let's hear it. You know, this is going to be like Jake Paul versus, I don't know, some other random YouTuber. Just going to be throwing hands.
Yeah, I don't want to be the Jake Paul one, but I'll step up to the plate because I mean, Jake Paul is kind of annoying, and Maz isn't annoying, so maybe this is just like Jake Paul versus what, Corpse Husband? Okay. So this is like the ultimate showdown of mild
ultimate
taste.
destiny.
Yeah. So I think I have similar sentiments. I think the first season was like a very decent series that was definitely elevated by UFO Table, and I'm also in a similar boat that I like the UFO Table. UFO Table, I don't care. I like their aesthetic, but I don't love their aesthetic. Like, I'm not going to be that guy who says, wow, I really want this anime to be adapted. Make UFO Table do it because then it'll be a masterpiece. Like, I'm not clamoring for them to do every anime, but I do respect a lot of the work they put into their series, and I do think they make them look really cool. So I'm down for the visual spectacle, so to speak, but a lot of times I think like the content can be a bit lacking. But so when it comes to Kimetsu no Yaiba, I recently realized that my feelings towards the first season was, I think it is this really weird mix of mostly kind of bad characters that I don't care about that somehow manage to nail the emotional moments while I don't care about them. So, like, it really nails these emotional beats in conveying the strength of compassion, which I think is an overall really good message. And I think Tanjiro is a refreshing MC, and I like that he's a good boy with a good soul, which we can get into the movie a bit. So I definitely feel like I just kind of respect that it exists, but there are a lot of elements that I just don't enjoy that much, which keeps it down on my list. But overall, I think it's a decent series, and I do not begrudge the overwhelming success it has. I think it's kind of cringe when people are like, cursing that it's so successful and that it's bringing in so many new fans to the community. So I think it's great that it has so much success, and I hope it continues to be successful. Yeah,
it's still one of like the highest selling manga of 2021, and it finished.
It is the highest.
Yeah,
It is the highest.
It's
Yeah,
outselling Jujutsu Kaisen.
yeah.
Is it outselling One Piece,
it ended
though?
last year.
Well, One Piece has only had one volume this year.
That's true.
So,
Slow year.
It's been absolutely crazy to see just like how successful Kimetsu no Yaiba still is. And I don't see like it having any real reason to stop going forward.
Yeah, it just keeps moving forward.
Yes, it does keep unlike some
It's
other
almost like
franchises.
it's on rails.
Oh shit! It's going off the rails now.
Off the rails. That should be a side podcast for us.
Infinite off the rails, infinitely off the rails. But while that's going on, we've also had Sinris, who, as you said earlier, you were one of the few people when we were doing like our impressions and retrospective episodes that was like a fan of the show early on, when I believe like myself included, we weren't like the biggest fans of it. So you want to talk about that a little bit more?
I remember very distinctly in the Impressions podcast for its first season, I said, like, it got mentioned in passing in reference to some other show that was airing that season. I was like, oh yeah, that show slaps. And you and mine are both like, does it though? And it turns out I was right and you were wrong, and yes, it did slap.
Yes.
So I am typically not really a fan of shonens, which should come as no surprise to any of you. But for some reason, Kimetsu no Yaiba really clicked for me. I think that I really enjoyed the fact that it kind of just goes all in. You know, it places a lot of emphasis on how high the stakes are for everything and how overwhelming the odds are right from the very beginning. Like, there's no easing into anything from the characters. Right from the start, they're like life or death, barely making it through. Like, Tanjiro's first training arc, he spends like, what, years? At least?
Yeah, 2 years. 2 years.
Yeah,
2 to 3
he
years.
spends like years on a training arc, like just basically training himself. And then it goes off to fight like the first actual enemy of the series and still almost dies. And it's from then on, it stays like that. You know, there's the big climactic Spider Family arc. And then after that, there's like the last few episodes of the season are a couple more months of them all in like physical therapy because of how fucked up they got from that and everything. So I really liked how the show just goes in. It has a really serious tone. It doesn't like beat around the bush with like dumb teen shonen antics bullshit. And it especially doesn't do that in the middle of the serious parts. You know, once they get through the combat arc, we'll get a few episodes where it's just the boys hanging out and like bickering with each other and having a good time. And that's really nice when it happens because they do it in moderation and they balance the things really well. So I was a big fan of the first season, and my expectations coming into the movie were that like typically the way this kind of works is that when you have a movie sequel to an anime series, that means that they're taking like the upcoming like biggest hypest part that they want to give special treatment to, and they give it like super awesome movie budget and just blow it up to be as awesome as it could possibly be. And I guess we're still talking about impressions, so I won't get into my thoughts on the movie until you go, Tay. But I don't feel that that's what I got.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I was, as you put out there into the world, I was not the biggest fan of KNY when I was first watching it. But I really liked that last stretch of episodes where they're just like physical therapying and like talking to the Hashira, the pillars, and they're like, you're seeing the consequences of like fighting even a lower moon, and like all the shit that they've had to go through and like how strong they are. And like you said, I think one of the things I really respect about this franchise is the fact that it takes risks and it has consequences. Like, and I think that's not typical of a lot of, especially Weekly Shonen Jump manga and anime. I could think of a few prominent examples, actually, where there's basically no consequences to any actions ever, and whenever there's like a high risk or like high stakes involved, everything kind of just gets reset to the norm, and everyone heads out pretty okay. And if someone's like, oh, you can't do this ever again, or like you might die, like they will do it over and over again, and you know what happens? They don't die. And so when I rewatched it with those last couple episodes in mind, it definitely stuck out to me more. To me, for some reason, even though like Kimetsu no Yaiba is not like a very plot heavy show, which is usually the kind of shows that ramp up for me on a rewatch, just because you can pick up on a lot of the details, something like a Gurren Lagann, a Katanagatari, a Steins Gate. Kimetsu no Yaiba is not like that level of show or source material or writing where like it's like very dense material that you can pick apart, but you just like know what you're getting into. You know that Tanjiro is a very good boy, a very devout and devoted boy, but that doesn't mean that like he has these like stupid ideals or anything. He just has his like, it's what keeps him sane and keeps him human. Which is the thing that the movie does get into. But before we get too much into the movie, I just want to go back to Cinerus because it seems like you have the biggest swing, and I want to let you continue your train of thought.
Sure, thank you.
So, yeah, I want to hear it. What were your thoughts on the movie?
I guess my beef on the movie, because I didn't think the movie was bad, but it was like extremely mid for me. Mm-hmm. Is that
more like Kimetsu no Yaiba?
Damn! Oh, got him!
All right.
How are they going to recover from that?
Yeah, it's like the one Woody Harrelson gif where he's like sobbing into piles of money.
The mangaka thought about somebody making that pun years ago and was like, I can't let it get to that. I have to stop.
They were like, I have to go. Goodbye, friends.
So I felt that the movie didn't really have any of the stuff that I liked about the series. I was really disappointed that it basically just entirely focuses on Rengoku and none of the main characters do anything, for starters. I also felt that just the content of this arc was not as interesting as any of the previous ones. Like, I'm going to go back to the Spider Family arc again, because that was like the big one in the first season, is that it's kind of like a boss gauntlet where they kind of just fight like one spider demon after another in succession. But through the course of all of that, you're kind of unraveling the narrative of, you know, what's actually going on within the family, like who's actually the big bad. Like, you see, like, the mom spider at first, who seems like, oh, you know, like, Spider Queen is a classic trope, so it sets her up as, like, the big bad, but then, like, behind the scenes, when the main characters are there, you get, like, the little brother, threatening the mom, saying, like, if you don't dispatch them quickly, I'm going to, like, tell father on you. And she's like, no, please don't do that. So then you're like, oh, the dad spider's the big bad. And then the dad spider shows up and he's terrifying and they have to, like, run away from fighting him and everything. And then they finally get together and manage to kill the dad spider. And it's revealed that it was actually the little brother the whole time, who's one of the lower moons and was manipulating everything. And, you know, it's not like super complex plot or anything, but there's a lot going on. You know, there's a lot to like chew on and think about as you're going through. It's not just fighting one demon after another. And I didn't really think there was anything like that in this movie. You know, they have the brief thing where they like fight the two demons in the dream that lasts like literally 5 minutes, maybe, if that, before you find out it's actually a dream. And then they break out of the dream and they fight and kill the demon who is causing the dreams. And then another demon shows up and they fight that one. And that's it.
End sentence or...
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I wasn't sure.
So is that tracking with you guys?
Yeah. I like half agree. I mean, the events are accurate, but like, I think I like half agree with you and half don't agree because, as you clearly did not mention in this very dense plot, that Tanjiro went to go fight the dream demon after realizing that after he broke out of his dream. And then he realized that it was not actually the demon's body, but the train was the demon's, which is kind of like, no, it's not the mommy spider or daddy spider, it's son spider, but obviously a bit less complex. The only reason I'm saying this in like a kind of funny positive light is because I was getting so annoyed by Inosuke trying to fight the train at the beginning, and I was like, Jesus Christ, here we go with this like peak humor. And then I'm like, okay, I gotta give it to them, like him trying to fight the train, and then it turns out that the train was the demon. Like, okay, you win this round, Demon Slayer, like you get the win for this one. So I don't think it's like a top tier plot twist, but it was funny.
I will not tolerate this Inosuke slander. He is by far the best part of the show.
Thank you, Maz. I was going to say, I loved Inosuke trying to fight the train.
You know what I realized? Because the fighting the train became funny, but like, I think I've just realized that like, I think what the friend group needs, because I'm in like kind of the opposite boat of when you were talking about like the boys hanging. Like when the boys are hanging, I can't make the rest of this joke. When the boys are hanging, I am not having fun. But when
the boys are having fun, you're not having fun.
Well, I was going to make a joke continuing with the hanging part, but like I'm not doing that.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll fill in the blanks. You guys can fill in the blanks. So I just find the like humor just like really grating, which is kind of weird for me because I'm a Gintama fan, so I'm really used to Abyss humor. And like I have a very high tolerance for bad jokes, and I think the problem is that like Inosuke and I always forget his name for good reason. Zenitsu are both screamers, and you can't have too many screamers in a friend group. You need the like Sasuke cool-headed dude to kind of balance them out, and that's not Tanjiro's role either because he's just like the nice guy, so he's not like telling them to, he's not like putting them in their place. So I feel like there's just a bit of imbalance from their group. But yeah, so I don't really like when they're like hanging out that much, but I do admit that I think later on when we got to see like, you know, Tanjiro and Inosuke like fighting and having each other's back, I think that was really cool. I think that was a cool bro moment. But I think I do like that the movie focused on Rengoku in the end when it mattered, but I think it's just very random how that final demon just rolled up. Like I don't like saying he came out of nowhere because most of the time when people say that it's like inaccurate because there is like hints of that, but this dude really just came out of nowhere and was like, okay, we fight now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. In the movie's defense, they do make a point of being like, what was one of the upper moons even doing here? So it feels like the fact that he just came out of nowhere is intentional and going to be a plot point, but I don't think that helps with how underwhelming it felt in the movie itself.
Yeah, and I think a big point too is that like you made a good point that like I think the spider demons were interesting because they had that whole sense of like trying to replace family that they lost. These two demons were just absolute cheeks. Like the first dude is like he's like that screamer from Jujutsu Kaisen with the like, you know, the scars or whatever. That character type just sucks. I just hate it. They're just like screechers, and they're like, "Oh, I'm weak, but I love seeing you in pain." Like, cool. We've all been to Hot Topic. Get over yourself. But then like, just so lame. And then the second demon is essentially just Hisoka, but without like any characterization except me knowing Hisoka. Like, I'm just projecting that on him. He's just like, I want to fight tough dudes forever. You could be strong forever if you reject humanity. And like, it just doesn't really work, and neither are really compelling. And I mean, in like a kind of like OP guy versus OP guy battle, it works. But I don't think either of them are like compelling villains that I'm like, oh, this is an interesting conflict, you know?
Yeah.
Moz?
So you want to know my thoughts about the movie?
Yes, especially.
Okay,
yes.
So I'm watching the movie, and then they're all dreaming and stuff, and so I'm like, "Hey, this is in Kingdom Hearts."
Yeah,
and then
they
go into this. Then they go into this sky world, and I'm like, "Hey, this is in Kingdom Hearts." And then dudes stab each other and like rip each other apart. I'm like, "Hey, this is in Kingdom Hearts too." so basically, this movie's just Kingdom Hearts.
I agree.
Wait, is it or is it not?
It is Kingdom Hearts.
Yes.
Got it.
Yeah. It was.
The soundtrack kind of sounds like Kingdom Hearts.
It was honestly kind of Kingdom Hearts. Like, once they showed Tanjiro's soul was on that, like, sky plane, I was like, yo, they really just ripped off Kingdom Hearts.
It's literally
It's
Kingdom
literally
Hearts,
Kingdom
but,
Hearts. Yeah, I think it's just literally Kingdom Hearts.
I have no special thoughts about the movie because, like I said, it's basically the same thing as the TV show for me. I mean, I can agree with Sinris to an extent that the conflict wasn't all that interesting, and it did seem random how there was the other demon that showed up at the very end. Because when they killed the demon, I didn't even look. I was on my couch, like laying down, like not even looking at the time or anything. And I'm like, okay, this is definitely not the end of the movie. There has to be like another 45 minutes. What the hell are they going to do for the rest of this movie?
Yeah, and that's where I was looking for the twist to happen.
Yeah. I was looking for the big, ultimate trump card that this demon had, and it just didn't happen.
Right.
So, I don't know. I mean, the fights were cool. They were enjoyable. It was just not that interesting, I guess.
Fight
It was
choreography was very
interesting-
cool. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, I heard a lot of people, and I feel like this came a lot from more casual fans who are saying like, oh, the Rengoku fight is like one of the best, like, is the best like anime fight they've ever seen, and like, I'm sitting here and I had just seen like Heaven's Feel Part 3 a couple of weeks before. And I was like, bro, this isn't even the best fight that UFO Table did in the past year.
Yeah. So another thing I wanted to say, I feel kind of silly for saying this because it just shows like how high the bar has been set, like probably not in a good way, is that I was really underwhelmed with the production quality of this movie.
Wow.
I mean, I do think the CGI monster looked like it was right out of Stranger Things, so I can kind of feel you with that, but
yeah,
I'm not
the
sure.
CGI monster looked really out of place. But also, like, so there was one shot in the Rengoku versus the Upper Moon fight that was really sick, and that's the one after Rengoku does, like, the final, like, I'm dying dragon
final
move,
fire.
where he's, like, swinging, it's like slow motion, he's swinging his sword towards the demon's neck, the demon, like, shifts his arm to, like, nudge it just slightly out of the way so it misses and goes through his chest instead. That shot was amazing. Aside from that, it was like, it looked great, but not any better than like every UFO Table show does.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't feel like it looked better than the first season.
I think when you see a movie, you would expect a much higher production value, and you don't really get that with this. Right. It's on par with the TV series, for better or for worse.
I think that's like a testament to how good the TV series is, that I was just like, oh yeah, this is like kind of like the TV series. But I do think there was a lot of good like fight choreography, especially when they showed, you know,
the choreography was very impressive,
especially at the part where they're like taking on like the final part of the Mind Flayer train, where they have like Inosuke and Tanjiro going down in like different ways, and they're like trailing down the tentacles. I don't know what to call them of the like of the train. There were just a lot of cool like interesting shots that they did to, you know, show how fast they were moving and like speed and, you know, matching up their breath for the moves and stuff. And then I do think the final fight was really good. I'm not gonna like, I don't know. I definitely understand having like super high expectations because we do know what UFO Table is capable of with Heaven's Feel 3, but I think
Heaven's Feel 3, oh my god.
But I feel like kind of bad being like, well, I still think it's really good, but it could have been better because I don't know if they could have done better.
It looked good. It wasn't like bad. It wasn't like Citrus or like, I don't know, like fucking like Yuri on Ice with like production errors all over the place, or Cinderella 9 or Orange.
Yeah.
But like, you know, when people are saying it's like one of the best or like the best animated like film we've seen, I think it's true though that like we do expect a certain kind of like jump in quality for when you go from a TV adaptation to a movie. Like UFO Table did it with Unlimited Blade Works to Heaven's Feel. And like, you know, like it's a weird example to pull, but like the K-On! Movie looks a lot better produced than like not just
fight scenes
animated.
in the K-On! Movie are so good.
The fight scenes in the K-On!
They go wild.
About some of the best produced fight scenes in anime.
I think I've seen
you know when when Rengoku and the demon were like stabbing each other, I'm like, wow, this is just like K-On!
Moogie with her sword with the demon slayer.
Hey, no K-On! Spoilers. No K-On! Spoilers.
Whoops. I think I've seen so many anime films, not like so many, like I'd say at least 5 that are either on par or worse than the TV series. I'm thinking of like the Given film.
Hunter.
No, those we're not talking about those. Those are like, I guess, like, look fine, but are still ass. But, like, the Given film that just came out, I say it looks, like, on par with the TV series. The, Bunny Girl movie, it looks awful. So, like...
I don't know if I could, like, appreciate it, how it looked like, just because, like, I was pausing it every few seconds to watch either the Angel Beats OP or the Steins Gate OP.
Yeah, you really trolled the shit out of that. That was an
great.
interesting experience. But I think this one was like on par, if not some scenes looked a bit better than the TV series. So I feel like it was like pretty acceptable. Acceptable as in like really good. But I mean, as you know, like we're kind of viewing this film in a different way because this isn't just the Demon Slayer movie. It is the highest grossing anime film of all time now. And like one of the top 5 grossing films of the year or something, like some ridiculous stat where like it's actually outselling like live action blockbuster films. So I mean, I think that does change the scope. What?
It did better than Tenet, a Christopher Nolan film.
Yeah, so it did better than a Christopher Nolan film. Like putting that into perspective, I think that makes like, you know, the discussion shifts a bit in my opinion of like, should this be the one that's like beating out Christopher Nolan films? I don't know, but if it has to be the one, I'm down with it.
The thing that so what really surprised me about this movie was, so after I had watched the first season of the anime, I, along with like apparently like literally everyone else in the world, read the manga for Kimetsu no Yaiba, which meant that the anime was incredibly successful in what it wanted to do, and of course is why the manga volume sales went through the fucking roof. So I started reading the manga, and I really enjoyed the Infinite Train arc, the Mugen Train arc, but I didn't see a reason for it to be a movie other than the fact that it was like a very small arc. Like, you know how sometimes people are like, oh, the adaptation wasn't great because they missed this, they missed that. Like, consistently, I feel like Demon Slayer, even compared to its manga, like, it's not really like skipping out on material. In fact, like if anything, it's like enhancing it and like bringing a lot more like color and flavor to it, but it's not like really adding filler. It's not like subtracting scenes to it. And the way that the film played out was pretty much how the arc played out in the manga. And I feel like when you were reading it in the manga, or when I was reading in the manga, I was never like, oh, like what's gonna be the twist? What's gonna happen? I was like, oh, like this is another arc. Like this is like the arc when they were in the house that would like go upside down and backwards and whatever. It was like another like funky like demon. And then all of a sudden a boss comes and you're like, holy shit, what's going on? What's happening? Like we didn't see this coming along. And so like the dynamics of the arc in the manga, I think just because of the way the medium is structured, and you're not like checking the runtime and you're like, when is this wacky ass dream sequence gonna end? Like, you're not like thinking that even subconsciously, when you're reading the manga so much. Or even if you are, you can just like, you know, turn the pages a little faster. So I thought like, that was one of the things that I think made the manga moments like hit harder for me. Even though like, you know, like Tanjiro's speech when he's yelling at the upper moon, I don't know about you guys, but that still like pulled a lot of heartstrings for me. Like, cause it's a, Shaw, you put this really well. I don't want to let you talk about it, but like, it's kind of like the anti-shonen. And you want to explain a little bit more about, how you meant by that?
I said anti-drip. I said the anti-drip shonen. So like, you know, a lot of times since, Jujutsu Kaisen has been airing, and then a lot of people, I think they've kind of said it's like, you know, oh, it's just kind of like drip personified. And I realized that I think Demon Slayer, and I mean this respectfully, is like the anti-drip series. Like, there's a lot of aspects that are not cool. There's not like, you know, Tanjiro is not like he's not a very traditionally Chadley, so to speak, main character. He's not like, he's very sensitive. He's very emotional, and I think they put a lot of emphasis in the strength of human compassion and how, you know, they're fighting to save not just humanity as a whole, but the idea of humanity. It's not about like making sacrifices to get stronger. It's about, you know, protecting the weak, protecting humans, protecting your family, protecting other families. And I like that is what is really emphasized both through like Tanjiro and Rengoku at the end. Like, they're both fighting for the sake of like human compassion. And I think that's really cool. And that's why Tanjiro yelling at this demon who's like running away, like a bitch, honestly, because can't take a bit of sunlight, kind of weak. They're like, he's just yelling at him, and he's not a guy who yells that often. He's just yelling how, Rengoku didn't lose. He won because he accomplished his goal, and that was like a really cool scene. And I think that's at the heart why the series is so successful, is because that human element really connects with a lot of people, even if, they have a lot of varying opinions on everything else in between, like I do. I can still connect with like that one scene a lot and feel, it tugging at my heartstrings.
That's a really good point.
Thank you.
You have made me appreciate that scene a lot more than I did when I was watching it.
High five to Tay, the tag team.
Yeah.
Speaking, thank you. But Tay had a good comment that you why can't I say this word? Messaged in DMs about how the movie kind of felt like an album. I feel like that was a good comparison. So I wanted you to say it, so I didn't steal it.
Yeah, I mean, apparently we're just going to air out our Twitter DMs.
we had our best thoughts yesterday, and now I can't even say the word message. So I'm like, I choose you.
I know, we're stumbling. I know. I choose you, Twitter DMs. Yeah, because I was just thinking, like, how this arc felt to me was kind of like an album where, like, you have, like, a couple of singles that are, like, really fucking good, and you're like, holy shit, like, they really nailed these singles, like, these were really well produced, really well written, like, these are some absolute bangers. But, like, it's also an album where you're like, bro, what were they on where they were, like, writing this? Like, when you do, like, the Inosuke dream sequence, like, in the cave, you're like, what is going on here? Like, who was in charge of this production?
The best scene in the movie.
Yes, of course, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, that's what he was referring to by hits.
Exactly. And, like, the Zenitsu thing with, like, him and, like, the peach farm and, like, with Nezuko and whatever. But then you have moments where, like, it's Tanjiro and, like, his dream sequence with his family, and, like, he realizes something's off because he's, like, so happy, and, like, this is what he could have had, like, if it wasn't for demons, like, he wouldn't have had to undergo that grueling, hellish training, and, like, what he would do to, like, never have to do this. But because it happened, he has to protect people, and, like, he can't just, like, be ignorant now because he doesn't want that to happen to anyone else, and, like, being willing to, like, kill himself, like, over and over and over again, and, like, wake up from what should be, like, a very blissful, happy dream, just so that he could, like, protect people. And to what you were saying, like, I think that is one of the things that makes Kimetsu no Yaiba so popular, especially in Asia. I think it's because of, it does feel like a more of, like, a East Asian traditional storytelling trope, where, like, like, the sacrificing everything for family, for others, like, putting down, like, your life, and, like, it's all okay as long as, like, the next generation is able to do something. And when you think of it in, like, as you put it, the drip shonen sense, like, Rengoku kind of got his ass handed to him by the upper demon, purely from the fact that, like, the upper demon's gonna be fine in, like, an hour. And, like, Rengoku's dead. And, like, we're gonna probably have to have another, like, physical therapying arc for, like, everyone, because, like, Tanjiro, like, self-medicated and is like, oh, I've got, like, 3 broken ribs, a shattered collarbone, a separated shoulder, a torn meniscus.
Yeah.
Like, all
when the
this
guy
stuff.
stabbed him in the stomach, I'm like, oh, that's 4 more episodes of therapy.
Yeah.
I do
right?
love-
And so, like, the upper moon is just like, bro, like, I'm just gonna be chilling. And, like, that's an actual, like, that's one of the themes, right? That, like, and Tanjiro says, like, we aren't strong compared to you guys. Like, we're always at a disadvantage. We have to play in the night. We don't heal. Like, when we get hurt, it, like, hurts, and, like, we have to, like, overcome our weaknesses. But we still try and fight you, even though it's a losing battle. Even though, like, no matter what we do, like, it always feels like we're losing ground. But Rengoku is the real winner, not because he beat you and he killed you, but because no one on that train died. And Tanjiro's like, I can't die, because if I die, then that makes that one guy a murderer, and I can't have that on my hands. And it's like a very opposite mentality. Then, like, not that, like, Jujutsu Kaisen or, like, Naruto or those kinds of anime with, like, the drip shonen mentality. Not that they're, like, bad per se, but it's a different mentality, and I think it's one that's almost, like, refreshing to come across.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think this is one of the reasons why, like, despite having a lot of the same shonen beats and tropes, that overarching message being different is what allows it to be so successful.
Yeah, and to clarify, that's not like a diss on like Jujutsu Kaisen, because I actually really like that and probably prefer it a bit to Demon Slayer. I just think it's a very different approach. Like in Jujutsu Kaisen, I get really attached to the hype moments and seeing the characters perform like ridiculous,
the Black Flash,
yeah, like really cool feats. Like at the end, where I forget her name. Nobara is like Nobara is like putting the like stakes in her own arm to get the other demon. Like that's like a cool tactical move of like I'm gonna hurt myself to hurt you, and that's just like really cool and hype. Whereas with Demon Slayer, I don't really get hype, but I get like emotionally attached to these really authentic moments.
Mm-hmm.
That's very.
It
cool
is trying to do something different. Yeah.
All right, you two have done well. I'm going to change my score up from a 5 to a 6 right now.
No, don't don't back down.
No, you guys are right, because I did kind of overlook everything you were saying about like the significance of Tanjiro's reaction to the end of the fight and all.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, which is funny because all that stuff you're saying that makes it so important about how humans are at such a disadvantage and all is exactly what I was just saying about why I like the series so much.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess I was just kind of hung up on Rengoku because I super didn't care about Rengoku at all.
Really?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And I was like, why is Tanjiro having such an emotional breakdown about someone he literally knew for 10 minutes?
That is a very
Like-
Tanjiro move, though. He cries over, like, strangers. Like, he's trying to be like, I can't die because that fuckboy will become a murderer. Only he won't call him a fuckboy. I will. Like, I'm
True.
sorry. If I'm getting stabbed, I'm not going to be like, I must protect his dignity. I'd be like, no, fuck off. Fall off the train.
Yeah. But it's like Rengoku has like maybe 2 minutes of screen time at the end of season 1 in which he doesn't actually like do anything. He's just kind of there with all the other pillars. Then you get to this movie and Rengoku says "umai" a lot and then says that he's completely useless and can't help with the main plot. And then like the fight happens and he dies at the end. Like that's the whole character.
He was also holding down the fort with like the train where he's like, okay, you'd like to like handle like these 2 cars and I will handle like the other 50 of them. And,
Right, but you know, it's all one continuous fight scene. So,
Right.
like, the fighting starts, and then he dies.
Right.
And in between, he just, like, does some cool sword moves, which, like, is great, but it's not gonna make me care about him as a character, you know?
Mhm.
So, that was my hang-up at the end, where I was like, okay, so this guy died. Like, who gives a shit? He was barely a character.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. For me, what like sold me on Rengoku is you're right. Like in that Hashira meeting, he's one of those people. Where he's like, "Oh well, Nezuko is a demon. We should kill her." And then the leader's like, "No, like we shouldn't kill her." He's like, "Well, if the leader says she should live, then she should live." He's like a very like as you like you know as you see him kind of guy.
Very straightforward. He's like he's like a yes man, but he's like sticks to his own shit. He's not going to just like yes man, you know, the leader unthinkingly.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But what I appreciated that we got in his backstory, and like this was during the fight and whatnot, is the fact that like Tanjiro sees him and he sees this like incredibly strong guy who like, you know, was dependable and like, you know, it's another thing of like, you know, East Asian like culture and tradition and like storytelling where like you look up to your senpai, you know, for lack of a better term, for your upperclassmen to role models. And like this guy is like trying to be that for these young demon slayers. And he's, you know, he is presented with the opportunity to, reject his humanity and become a demon. Like, they literally put that offer on the table and he's like, nah, I'm just gonna be human because, that's what I have to do. And so, in a lot of ways, I feel like Tanjiro watching him, he's like, this is the embodiment of like everything Tanjiro wants to be, like someone who like holds on to his humanity, someone who like is willing to protect people and like protect the weak, which is what his like mom said, even like when he goes through the flashbacks, like why are the strong so that they can protect the weak and the innocent, and those who can't protect themselves. And like I feel like when Tanjiro was seeing him, it's like, you know, it's one thing for like someone to say that, but for someone to like really like die embodying those ideals, I feel like is what like stuck out to Tanjiro and like made him like emotional. Just because like, you know, Rengoku was like going toe to toe with an Upper Moon 3 who was able to like regen and heal like almost instantaneously.
Yeah. I think he also checks a lot of really likable boxes in a short amount of time. Like he has embracing humanity, rejecting evil. He's an older brother figure, and
literally an older brother too.
Yeah.
Okay, I can't get over the fact that the rest of his family has the same terrible hair that he does.
Yeah, that's kind of wild.
Really?
He needs some of those like recessive genes to kick in because it's looking a bit much.
Yeah.
But
Wasn't there a thing where like there was like a whole poll and people were like, what would you like to see changed in the anime? And like the number one thing was like people wanted to see Rengoku's hair get changed in the anime adaptation. It was
That's
like
very funny.
I just look at it and I'm like, I think my eyes kind of hurt. It's like, this is just too much at once. Can we just like pull it back a bit?
I thought Rengoku's design was fine, but then once we got to the rest of his family, I'm like, oh, actually, he looks really fucking stupid.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, do we really need 3 of these? Can we just have one?
I did like the part with like showing him and his dad, and like his dad who like was a demon slayer, was the strong guy who just like gave up and was just like, I don't fucking care. Like, I'm weak. Whatever.
I was wondering if they were going to expand on that. I'm guessing they don't because he's probably going to be made irrelevant. But I assumed that would be something expanded on because they dropped the line of like, hey, if you want to find out more about the like fire dance move, like go check out his notes. You know, I assumed that would be a plot point later on, and then like maybe it was some complex with his dad who's like, I'm weak now because I'm old, and he would kind of contrast Rengoku, who's like, I don't care about becoming the perfect, like, physical embodiment. I'm just here to defend humanity and, like, give humanity worth because we do get old and weak, but that makes life worth fighting for or something. But if we don't even see him, then that's honestly lame.
You know what I think the best thing for Rengoku's character would be? If his younger brother became a demon slayer.
Yeah.
Well, we are getting a season 2. So
is that confirmed? I didn't know if
yes,
that
is confirmed.
Yes.
It is
I
confirmed.
assumed it was going to happen, but I didn't know if it was already confirmed to be happening.
Highest selling manga of all time, shattering every single record, gets an anime adaptation.
Speaking of,
Well, the main question would be
More
like,
shocking news at 6.
well, the main question would be what format would it be, and also when is it going to come out? But no, they said a TV anime in 2021.
Okay.
it's got Yoshiwara in the title. You know it's going to be fire. Every Yoshiwara setting is a fire arc. As proven by other series that take place in Yoshiwara that will not be named.
Well, see, I said the same thing about arcs on trains, but here we are.
Are there good arcs on trains that are... Okay, look, as the train connoisseur of the group, let's talk about some, like, train anime, like, some fighting train anime and see how well they do, okay? Because, like, the first thing that comes to mind is the knockoff Attack on Titan Cabaneri, like, for Iron Fortress
I
Cabaneri.
take it back. No, train.
Okay,
I was just gonna...
counter argument. Bakano is on a train and it's badass.
That is the one I was thinking.
That is good. And I know that it's bad because you thought of Cabaneri before Bakano, which is a sign of depravity. Like, that's bad. Think of Bakano, not Attack on Trains.
Attack on Train. Okay, so, like, let's see. So we got Bakuno, which is good. We've got Cabaneri, which is bad. We've got Rail Wars, which
is amazing.
Look, it's, if you're looking for an ecchi anime that happens on trains, boy, do I have, the anime for you. Seriously, what other, anime has fights on trains?
You know, I can't think of any, but I was so confident when I said that.
Fighting depression.
You were? I was like...
Fighting heartbreak in 5 centimeters per second. There's a lot of fighting on a train. Fighting time or something. Getting metaphorical.
Fighting destiny on Kimi in Your Name.
Fighting terrorism in Penguin Drum.
That's true.
They have a lot of
It's a
stuff on the
subway,
train.
though. It's kind of different.
Yeah. You're not really having too many fight scenes on the trains.
There was a big moment on the train at the end. That's all I will say.
Yeah, but that's also a subway, and subways are like
It is a train.
trains.
Is that discrimination? Just because they're underground? An underground railroad? Is that what you're trying to say? It doesn't count?
You know what? I'm gonna pass on this real quick.
Hashtag canceled. Cancel Tay. Train discrimination. How could you?
I'm canceled. Train canceled. So...
But yeah, I think...
So now that we're a little confused on trains...
A real demon slayer keeps his guns in his heart. Oh, Case Files was also on a train.
That reference is too good.
Case Files did have a train thing, but they did their fights off their train, didn't they?
Most of them.
I feel like we need rail decks to have a fight on a train. I feel like it's only a matter of time, you know?
Yeah, I mean they've got rail in the title.
Yeah, it's in the title. I don't know. We're waiting on them. Maybe it's in some index arc, like Index New Testament 69 or whatever.
God. There probably are going to be up to like 69 volumes soon. Like, the man does not stop writing lolicon fiction.
Does not stop.
But back to Demon Slayer. So overall, what score did you guys give this movie? And what are your thoughts like on the franchise as a whole? And what are your thoughts on this franchise going forward? Shaw, or Sinners, actually, since you actually gave your score, what are your thoughts?
Sure. I gave it a 5 when I finished it. You guys convinced me to up it to a 6. As for my thoughts on the franchise, or for reference, that's compared to a 7 for the main series. My thoughts on the series as a whole, I don't think this movie really dented my opinion of the whole series that much, especially after you were saying, Tay, about your experience reading it. It sounds very much like the fact that they made this a movie was just kind of a bad fit for the content. Cause
I'm shocked it did so well. Like, I did not expect this movie to do so well given the content of it.
But I just don't think that this arc stands alone very well, is kind of what all of my issues with it boil down to. So, you know, there's going to be more. That's fine. I'm happy about that. I don't think that, I think that everything that was unsatisfying about this movie will probably pay off eventually.
That's bold expectations.
Yeah, it's a good series. I like the series. What can I say? I think I will continue to like the series.
Wow, imagine liking stuff in 2021. Couldn't be me. Moz, how about you?
I gave this a 7, and I also gave the TV series a 7. I don't know. I don't really have anything else to add. When they make more, I will watch more of it, and I'll just enjoy it as much. I guarantee. I bet it's going to be a 7.
Yeah, that's how I
It's 7 no Yaiba.
Yeah.
Nana no Yaiba.
Key 7? No, I can't make it work.
Kimetsu, Nana,
actually,
I don't know.
the one thing that I do hope for, I will give the anime a 10 if Zenitsu fucking dies.
Wait, that's really funny, but can we appreciate the 200 IQ foreshadowing of them only having Zenitsu be competent when he's sleeping, and then have him be sleeping this entire movie so we don't have to deal with his bullshit and he can actually take care of shit for, like, half of the film? They're like, yes, all according to plan. We'll just keep him asleep, and then we don't have to worry about this.
You fools! You played right into my head.
I actually wish he had done more in this movie because of that. That would have been the perfect chance to, like, actually let him do something.
I feel like I know his character path. Like, we know that at some point he will get good, but it's going to be pulling teeth to get there.
Do we know that?
You said he was good.
Okay, Marguerite.
I said he got better. I said that the bar was like in the 7th ring of hell.
I cannot.
Well, you say we didn't have to deal with him so much, but we did still get his dream image where he's fucking around with Nezuko, and it made me throw up in my mouth.
I love how they...
Yeah, but then we got the Inosuke dream of him leading the band of mice.
Which was great. They should have just made the movie about that.
That looks like the movie that they make in, like, Shirobako.
I was just gonna say, Andy's Chucky,
Yeah, Andy's Chucky. That was, like, what he was dreaming. But I love how they have, like, all these, like, touching dreams for Rengoku and Tanjiro, and, like, we know that Zenitsu has that connection to that old guy, but he's like, nah, we're just going on a picnic. That's my dream. Yeah, what a Chad.
Nezuko does talk in that dream, so we're not allowed to make fun of her having a voice actor anymore.
Yeah, she's good. She's gonna
she's a good character
win
now.
Voice Actress of the Year now.
Yep. She's good. I do appreciate her doing things, and I feel like the funny scenes are unintentional. Like, she's just like fire like blood firing like the shit out of them to wake them up, and that was really funny. They didn't know it was funny, but I thought it was funny, so I'm like, okay, good accidental joke.
Good old rat girl.
Yeah.
Every time I see like Nezuko, and like for some reason, not for some reason, I know why the reason is because she has the same voice actress as Kotoko from what was that show called? Not ID Invaded. It was
Inspector. That show.
Yeah, Inspector.
Oh, yeah.
I always think of Moz's like thing like would you
punch Kotoko for $1 trillion?
Yeah, that's what I think of like Nezuko. Like, would you give Nezuko a head pat for $7 billion?
I would punch her for $7 billion.
Oh, she's also Aru in Hitori Bochi.
Damn.
And we can't forget Aru. We
Yeah.
can't. Wahaha.
Wahaha.
So, but yeah, I mean, for me, like, I know where this franchise is heading. I'm a little tentative just because, like, I don't know, it's an open secret that Gotoge, the mangaka, their family had, their parents had some health issues, so they had to end the manga a lot faster than they did. I don't think, like, even if they did a 25 episode season, they would even be able to get to the final arc in time. But, like, you know, given the context of that and the fact that, like, Shonen Jump, like, wouldn't let them get, like, a break, just because, like, Kimetsu no Yaiba was selling so well, they just wanted, like, the constant revenue stream.
Mm-hmm.
And they just kind of, like, did whatever they could just to make it end, which is a little disappointing, but I will say my enjoyment for Kimetsu no Yaiba, especially the manga, went up more and more as I read the manga, especially because of, like, the things I talked about today, the fact that, like, you know, there are consequences, there are, like, and sinners, like you said, like, they have high stakes, like, you know, things, like, constantly happen, like, they go in and, like, as Demon Slayers, they immediately come across, like, so what are the lower moon, and then all of a sudden they're up against an upper moon. It's not like one of those things where, like, they're constantly against a boss that's just at their level that they can beat, which is, you know, very convenient and all according to Keikaku.
Keikaku means plan.
Oh, thank you, Shaw.
They might not have known. They might not have known. We gotta translate.
Exactly. It's like a Nintendo circus. Not everyone knows what Keikaku means.
Yeah, and who's watching Death Note in 2021?
I know, right? Platinum End, though, which is by the same writer-artist duo, is getting an anime adaptation. So maybe people will be watching and reading Death Note in 2021.
What's it called?
Platinum End.
Oh, I heard of that. Yeah.
Okay.
It's a manga. It's a manga that exists.
It's like Platinum.
It is publishing. Yeah.
Platinum Mad,
And
but
I
Platinum
read
End.
Yes,
No,
I was
don't think it's
reading
publishing
some of it.
anymore.
Oh, it finished. Okay.
I think so.
Thank God. I mean, you know, like it was a manga. You know, people liked it. Some people did. Who's to say?
Who's to say?
Who's to say? But I like this movie, like, probably because I know what's, like, coming next and whatnot, which is, like, unfair. Cause, like, I always hate it, like, when I'm in anime only and people are like, oh, like, it wasn't as good as the adaptation, like, they missed some parts of this, and, like, they didn't, like, set up, like, something. When, like, people do that, I get really mad, so I, like, try to, like, do my anime scores based off solely of the adaptation. But I really like the Rengoku fight. And Tanjiro's speech at the end is like, oh man, like, they did that really, really well. Cause, like, that had me choking up in the manga, and I just felt like, Tanjiro's voice actor did a phenomenal job, and it's like, the music, Yuki Kaijura did a fantastic job of the soundtrack for that scene. So I gave this around the same score as I did the TV series. The TV series I probably would have as, like, a decent 8 if we're going by Fantano scores, and this is probably like a light 8 or a strong 7. So, but I could be like swayed like lower if you really, really pushed me on it. So yeah, and how about you, Shaw?
Oh, I essentially had the same opinions as Maz, like almost verbatim. Like I was gonna say the same thing of like TV series was a 7, movie is a 7, it'll probably continue to be a 7. So you could just like copy paste what Maz said and like apply that to my section. So, but yeah, the next arc, it looks like it has one of the Chad dudes who has a cool design, and it takes place in Yoshiwara, so maybe you might be getting up to that light 8, maybe more. Who knows?
Maybe more. Who's to say? Who knows?
Who knows?
Maybe like the 80 million people who have read it in Japan would know, but like no one else.
No one else.
Yeah. This is one thing I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about, just to wrap things up. But what are your guys' thoughts on like this in the like where it ranks among like shonen anime you've seen? Because like from a selling and sales and maybe not so much influence point, but like especially definitely from like a widely like known anime point, like it's number one. Like it crushed One Piece's like long-standing record of like most volumes sold in a year. It's so like it like broke every single record like week to week. It was absolutely insane. I remember there were weeks where like it sold like 10 million copies and second place was like at 800,000.
Mm-hmm.
Or like monthly records anyway. And so what are your guys' thoughts on it purely from like, you know, if you took like the influence, the praise, the accolades, the sales numbers out of it, where would you put it around like other like Weekly Shonen Jump manga or anime you've read or watched? Do you think we need more anime like this, or is it good because it's like one of the few anime that we talked about that has stories like this?
I would say for me it is under Hunter x Hunter and JoJo, but it is over Fire Force and One Punch Man. Or sorry, not One Punch Man. My Hero Academia. How's that
Shaw,
for
you
benchmarks?
you are the shonen head of the podcast.
I don't know.
Obviously.
You can't say that when you've read like every shonen manga.
You are literally the shonen meathead of
that
Annie
is true.
Twitter.
I am a meathead. But yeah, so I don't know. I think there's like a lot of points you touched upon. Like, where does it compare to like other shonen anime I've seen? I'd say it's probably like right in the middle of an enjoyable series that I don't think is fantastic. Like, I don't think it's a Hunter x Hunter, Full Metal Alchemist, Haikyuu, Gintama, JoJo tier series, where I think those are like those ones, and maybe like Attack on Titan are kind of like the peak of shonen anime adaptations and stories. I think this one is like an enjoyable series, but I'm not going to go out of my way and like tell people they need to watch it. That's just like my experience with it, though. A lot of people might like it more than me. Actually, as evident by how much it sells, a lot of people like it more than me. But but I do see a lot of redeeming qualities in it, and I don't really begrudge its success. Like, I think some people get really caught up on the fact that their favorites do not sell as well as another series that they don't like as much. Like, I think a lot of people are like, well, I like this other show more, so why isn't it selling as much as Demon Slayer? And I think that's just like a misguided way of looking at it, because I think we can all agree based on various examples that success does not inherently equal quality, and
I don't know, Shaw. I'm pretty sure Uma Musume is the best anime of all time.
I forgot. Oh, yeah, that's right. I heard about that.
The game is going so crazy. So like, it had like $2 million of sales in its first 2 weeks.
That's
like,
kind of
absolutely.
wild. Maybe
Just like yesterday, it passed Bakemonogatari as the best-selling anime of all time.
Wait, really?
Wait,
Yeah.
really?
So-
Yeah.
Wait, no, I take it back. I don't like this anymore. Fuck that. No, I hate
is it
it.
more than,
I hate this now.
I thought Yuri on Ice broke Bakemonogatari.
No, the top three were Bakemonogatari, and then Madoka Magica, and then Yuri on Ice.
I don't know.
Okay.
No offense, but I don't know what it is.
Because of the reruns, because of the re-releases, right?
I don't know what it is about Uma
wow.
Musume, but I look at it and I feel like very uncomfortable. Like, I get like heebie-jeebies. Like, I'm kind of getting
Did the
possessed.
Blu-ray have like any perks for the gacha game?
It had the one that came out had a ticket for a live event or some shit.
There it
Yeah,
is.
like Konosuba had like a whole game that came packaged with the first volume of its Blu-ray. I remember.
That's interesting.
Anyway,
Well,
how
well,
they
anyway, I
we
hate
need
that.
to do a podcast about. We need to do a podcast about why Uma Musume fucking sucks.
don't tell Panic.
Panic loves it, right? Because it's
No, Panic
Yeah,
is aware
Panic-
of how we feel about this.
I don't think Panic
and
loves
Panic
it, but
is
he likes
wrong.
it.
Panic's gonna come out with like a 200 IQ reason of like, well, I like the horse girls and they make me horny, so everything you say is irrelevant, and we'll have no choice but to agree.
Panic might actually be editing this podcast, so wait.
Shout out to Panic.
In Panic's defense, on our retrospective for last season, he did explain why he liked the series, and it sounds like, to hear him tell it, it actually does have, like, content, and isn't just
you guys haven't
horny
seen
girls.
Umusume and you're slandering it?
Oh yeah, of course.
Yes.
I mean,
Correct.
I told you. I
I've
look
seen
at it.
Season 1.
I look at it and it makes me feel uncomfortable. It's like weird
Season 1 had
heebie-jeebies.
decent moments.
It's like I look at jellyfish.
but
That's how I feel when I look at it. It's like jellyfish, but it's a show.
Horse Girls,
Musume group watch when.
Oh, I'll do it. Why not? Why not? I've been watching SAO, which was my example in my head of like.
Why did you watch SAO?
Why the fuck did you
I'm
watch
in
Sword Art
this
Online?
deep. I'm in this deep, and I have this screenshot to use from one of the gamers being like, "This game sucks. I'm logging off now." And once I finish the series, I'm going to post that and be like, "I am free. I'm done of this series. I'm done with SAO." Like, so
I know.
it's
Awesome.
the long con. But anyway, that was my example of a series that is really popular and successful that is not inherently good because it's successful. But now Uma Musume ruins my train of thought, and now I want to be petty. Fuck these successful series. I hate them all. Burn.
Yes.
Sean, knock your score down a point.
Knocking it down. Okay, I'm trading with Sinners. It's now a 6. No.
Awesome.
Yeah. Equivalent exchange.
Equivalent exchange. One for one. But yeah, I think
all for one.
All for one.
Don't you mean? Hey.
But yeah, I think it's a decent series. I hope as you said, I think you asked a question like, do I want to see more series like this? I think we already have with Jujutsu Kaisen and the way that they're going about adapting it. And if that's how they're going to treat a lot of potentially popular series, like I think it's already popular, Chainsaw Man. If they give Chainsaw Man the same treatment, I'll be happy. Mm-hmm. That's it.
I was gonna say, just, you know, like, for me, of the things I've read, like, it's definitely below, or, like, read and watched, it's definitely below, Hunter x Hunter,
and anime only.
Below Attack on
Anime only.
Anime only, it's below Attack. Anime, no anime.
You said you'd have to specify the two and you differentiate them. You can't go back on that now.
I know anime. Shaw, you've seen my Attack on.
I know what you're thinking.
Though.
I know you're thinking of every bird meme I've sent you, and that's what's holding it back.
This bird.
Oh man, we can't talk about it. It's the bird that at the end of Demon Slayer is crying.
Yeah, that one.
It's the,
that's us.
I love the crying bird. I forgot about that. That was so dumb.
Crows have tear ducts now, apparently. I guess if they can talk, they can have tear ducts.
Fun fact, the bird has the same voice actor as Oikawa and Hisoka for like no reason. Like why? What? They got a high priced voice actor for what?
That's amazing. Yeah. That's so good.
That's
Maybe they
really
needed
funny.
someone who could sound like a crow.
Wait, in
the only guy for
he
the
dies
job.
and he dies after losing to the crows, and then he is reborn as a crow. Talk about karma.
Oh my god. Oh, I get it. Yeah. Wow, that was good. That was good. Wow, Shaw.
200 IQ joke that was not that good, but thank you.
Hunter x Hunter manga spoilers.
No, that was an IQ spoiler.
I know.
You idiot, Shaw! You ruined the joke.
I ruined it. Sorry. I mean, what is it? What's that other series season that's really good?
That's
the one that you hated.
FMAB,
He's a
or
noun.
like FMA
it
the
begins
manga,
with an S.
definitely.
It's that obscure one that. Oh, Shinsekai Yori spoilers. Whoops.
Whoops. Yeah, Shinsekai Yori spoilers. I don't remember if there are even crows in that one.
Oh, yeah, never mind. Keep going. I'll say this later.
Okay. And so, I don't know, like, to me, it's definitely below FMA, the manga, and whatchamacallit, Hunter x Hunter. I definitely have it above My Hero Academia. Above One Punch Man, below Mob Psycho.
Where would you put it compared to like Death
Psycho.
Note? I feel like Death Note is a series.
But it's that weird comparison to Death Note. I feel like a better comparison would be to like Bleach or One Piece
that's a good
or
question,
Naruto.
Though. Where would you compare it to those? Because it's getting compared to those anyway.
I think I would have it definitely above Bleach Although the peaks of Bleach were really good, but overall I would have it over Bleach. Taking the two completed manga in their totality. I'd probably have it a little ahead of Naruto in terms of like overall quality, even though like Naruto, like the first half is like really fucking good, the second half is like really fucking shit towards the end. I'd probably around One Piece. Like, I'd probably go back and forth. I'd probably have to reread One Piece, because One Piece, like, its peaks are, like, unparalleled. Like, I'm the One Piece stan or One Piece shield, but, like, and I stopped reading. I like, read it weekly for, like, a decade and then stopped once it got to, like, the time skip. But, I mean, I really, really liked it, and I thought One Piece did a lot of things really well. So, when it comes to Demon Slayer, I think it's around there. I think it like its best comparisons are to like One Piece, Naruto, Bleach, that kind of thing. And like it's gonna be one of those things where like again people are gonna like try to come up with you see people always come up with like try to say like a new big three with like Jujutsu Kaisen, Demon Slayer, and My Hero Academia. But just like the old big three with like Naruto, Bleach, and One Piece, Naruto is like by far the clear big one, and the other two are just like riding its coattails in terms of like sales and popularity.
You mean
And
One Piece,
what's
right?
in the new big three changes like every year.
Yeah.
I know, like every month, depending on like Annie Twitter's like flavor of the month. Like I already feel like Jujutsu Kaisen, like even though it's like still pretty popular, like I don't see that much talked about it once the anime stopped.
Well, consider yourself lucky then. Because you just see because you see it, I see it compared, and I love the series, but like it's like which arc is better, the Shibuya arc or Chimera Ant arc, and it's like every day. I've seen that happen every single day, and I got spoiled on a character death the other week, so I'd say it's a pretty big three series in the fact that I get spoiled on it on a regular basis.
Big three spoils.
Yep.
So, oh man. In any case, I think.
Oh, do we ask?
Or Moz. Wait, no, Moz. Yeah, Moz. I want to get Moz's thoughts on this.
I actually don't have really anything to add because I don't like comparing series to each other too
What
much.
the fuck?
That sounds kind of healthy.
How is this compared to Yuri? How does this compare to Eurocamp Triangle Season 2 and Bermuda Triangle?
Fuck.
Like, if you had to rate the three of them.
Okay. Bermuda Triangle, best anime ever, 10 out of 10. That's clear top one. I would actually say that this is better. That I like Kimetsu no Yaiba more than I like Eurocamp Triangle.
Damn.
Wow.
That is not
And
the
it doesn't
answer I
have a
expected.
triangle.
Tent down.
I know. Hey, I know.
I think that's fair though, because I agree. But Maz and I are just
knows?
on the same page.
It is pretty comparable, though. I do compare this series to Eurocamp Triangle because Eurocamp Triangle also has a series that I hope fucking dies. and someone else that I was like, yes, you're precious. I just want the show to be about you all the time.
Oh yeah, because you don't like the side designs, and I agree with you.
Yes.
Yeah, because some people are like, Eurocamp Triangle has the best designs, and I think we both agree that it's like, yeah, maybe two. The other two are like very bad.
Yeah, Shibuya and Nadeshiko are really good.
Yeah.
Everyone else go
And
away.
Nadeshiko's sister, who I just came across in episode 2.
Oh no, she's good too.
Okay.
It's genetic.
Yes.
Yeah,
She can stay.
you could say. But the friends gotta go.
That's my wife.
And Shimmeren's mom.
Sure.
I sound like a frat boy at a party. Like you two stay, but the friends can't come in.
Yo, we gotta get the ratio right.
Yeah.
We gotta get the
$5
ratio.
for a cup.
Yo, you two, you could stay. You guys, you get out. We don't got room for y'all. Get out of here.
Meanwhile, in Yaiba, I just want the series to be about Inosuke. I guess I like Inosuke so much because I don't care too much about the series. So seeing him just be a complete fucking weirdo and just do shit that's like completely unnecessary and unrelated, I'm like, yeah, I want you. I'm not taking this seriously at all. Good job.
I love Inosuke.
He's like me.
And they're like,
he's the best.
I weirdly I'm not big on the main three. Like I kind of like Tanjiro, but I wouldn't say I love him. But I have to give credit.
He's okay.
Even to Zenitsu and Inosuke, like their voice actors are doing like an 11 out of 10 job of like selling them as like screechers having mental breakdowns. Inosuke is making every animal noise imaginable, and I'm like, I'm sorry I don't like you guys more, but these performances are fantastic. Like credit where credit is due.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Yep.
We've given enough credit, I think, or maybe not enough credit.
Maybe not.
Because, like, this is an insane phenomenon. And, like, honestly, it's been awesome just to like follow along with like how well Kimetsu no Yaiba is doing, because I'm like of the idea that a rising tide lifts all boats. So like the better that Kimetsu no Yaiba does, I think, and I think Kimetsu no Yaiba doing so well like paved the way for like Jujutsu Kaisen doing so well in the West, and like, you know, I think it just like builds on that, and I, you know, we come to a point where maybe some of us who are like, you know, pushing 30, we're still allowed to like anime. We don't get our licenses revoked.
Soon you'll be a wee boomer.
Wee boomer
Yes.
wee.
Oh, wee boomer!
Yeah.
That's so good.
I got
I'm
that
gonna
one
have to steal that.
from Lisa Lallan.
Lisa Goat.
Oh, Lisa go. So definitely, thank you everyone who's been following along to this podcast. Thank you everyone who's been, subscribing to the YouTube channel, following us on Twitter, following us on Twitch. We've been doing some Twitch streams there. It's been a lot of fun on twitch.tv/Tokyo Podfathers. So Shaw, where can people find you?
On the illustrious twitter.com at shocking807, and yeah, I guess that's it. I was gonna say like check out my Mal, but don't check out my Mal. Don't look at it.
And Moz, how about you? Where can people find you?
I'm also on Twitter at Shocking87, at Mozilla Fennekin.
So, well, that's really interesting because I'm also on Twitter at Shocking807.
We were all shocking.
But also, and in that moment, we were all Shocking807. But also,
It's like
Sinris,
Kingdom Hearts.
It's just like
It
Kingdom
is like
Hearts.
Kingdom-
Ultimately, this movie is Kingdom Hearts. Wait, everyone bullies Sinris
you
into
need
getting a Twitter.
Twitter.
Sinris asked me, and I told them, well, you'll waste all your time, and it won't be productive, but you'll have a lot of fun. And they're like, okay, this is what I needed to hear. And I was like, no, but like, still make one.
We talked about this on our Twitch VODs, but like Sinris, like legit would like be so popular on any Twitter because
Yeah,
of
they
like
would just
Yeah,
post all...
Tay and replay value also told me I should make one.
You should. Yeah, especially because...
your Monogatari threads and your Karano
Just
Kyokai threads. You
literally
get so
just
many
post your
retweets.
threads that
Maybe.
you've already written. Like, just outsource your old thoughts, and you will be fine.
I'm thinking about it. Stay tuned for the Sinners Twitter arc.
Stay
Stay
tuned.
tuned.
Oh man, infinite Twitter arc. Let's fucking go. All right, friends. Again, thanks so much for following along. Be sure to subscribe to us on YouTube and, you know, on any podcast platform that you're listening to us to. We've got a lot of awesome things in the works that we're really excited for, so stay tuned for that. I've been Fate Steel Taylor. Thank you guys so much, and have a great day. Stay safe.
Choo choo.
Bravissimo,